As horror fans, we have an aversion to CGI. Why watch cartoonish effects when we could watch practical effects? Unfortunately, CGI is cheaper, which means a lot of filmmakers rely heavily on it when pumping out a horror movie. Now, while some do flourish, others fall hard and they fall fast. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 worst special effects in horror movies. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. Coming in at 5, An American Werewolf in Paris. The Werewolf. An American Werewolf in Paris is a 1997 comedy horror film directed by Anthony Waller and follows the general concept and is a sequel to John Landis's film An American Werewolf in London. Essentially, the movie centers on Andy, a tourist visiting Paris who was smitten with Seraphine, a werewolf, after saving her life. However, his life turns upside down when he visits a nightclub and crosses paths with her again. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has a 7% approval rating with generally unfavorable reviews. To quote Roger Ebert, "By the end of the film, any plot discipline, necessary so that we can care about some characters and not the others, has been lost in an orgy of special effects and general mayhem." However, some of my favorite reviews consist of, I quote, "Oh no," and "put it out of its misery," and of course, "where's a silver bullet when you really need one?" Iconic. That's how I feel every day. Unlike its predecessor, which had Oscar-winning special makeup effects by Rick Baker, An American Werewolf in Paris relied heavily on CGI for its transformation effects and chase sequences, a common point of derision from most critics. Honestly, it is truly some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in my life, and that's saying something. Coming in at number 4, Anaconda. Anaconda is a 1997 adventure horror movie directed by Luis Loza and starring J-Lo, Ice Cube, John Voight, Eric Stoltz, and Owen Wilson. What a cast. The movie focuses on a documentary film crew in the Amazon rainforest that is captured by a snake hunter who is hunting down a giant, legendary green anaconda. The film received mixed reviews but was ultimately a box office success, with it going on to gross $136.8 million worldwide against a budget of $45 million, as well as achieving the status of a cult classic. Upon its release, the movie wasn't met with the best response, with some critics praising the film's effects, scenery, and tongue-in-cheek humor, but also going on to criticize the acting, forgettable or cardboard characters, inaccuracies, and boring start. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds a rating of 40%, with the general consensus reading, "Anaconda's pulpy pleasures are constricted by its own absurdity, but creature feature fans may enjoy its brazen silliness." However, Roger Ebert went on to call it a slick, scary, funny creature feature, beautifully photographed and splendidly acted in high adventure style. Honestly, I have no idea what movie he was watching, but it wasn't the same one I saw. Definitely not. However, as much as Roger Ebert loved the movie, it doesn't excuse the absolutely terrible special effects that take place, particularly in the final confrontation with the Queen Anaconda, making it one of the worst CGI effects of the 90s. In at 3, The Mist, The Tentacles. The Mist is a 2007 science fiction horror movie based on the 1980 novella The Mist by Stephen King. The film was written and directed by Frank Darabont, with the movie following David and his son who become trapped in a supermarket along with other townsfolk when a mist suddenly engulfs the entire city, bringing along bloodthirsty creatures that devour anyone in their path. The movie performed well at the box office and received generally positive reviews, with the movie holding a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, with the general consensus being, Frank Darabont's impressive camera work and politically incisive script make The Mist a truly frightening experience. James Bardinelli wrote of the film, I quote, "The Mist is what a horror film should be, dark, tense, and punctuated by just enough gore to keep the viewer's flinch reflex intact. Finally, after a long list of failures, someone has done justice in bringing one of King's horror stories to the screen. Though definitely not the feel-good movie of the season, this is a must-see for anyone who loves the genre and doesn't demand torture porn from horror." The film was ranked number 4 on the list of top 10 20 horror films of the decade by Bloody Disgusting, with it being nominated for 3 Saturn Awards, Best Horror Film, Best Director, and win for Best Supporting Actress. Now, despite the movie being a fantastic work of horror, it did have some major faults, one of them being the special effects in the movie. Frank Darabont's initial plan was to release the movie in black and white, in order to give it the look and feel of classic 50s monster movies. However, in the colorized version, the CGI is absolutely horrific, specifically the tentacled beast that kills one of the supermarket workers. Never forget, pulls him under the door. It's so bad. Coming in at 2, Let the Right One In, The Cat Attack. Let the Right One In is a 2008 Swedish romantic horror movie directed by Thomas Alfredson, based on the 2004 novel of the same name. The film tells the story of a bullied 12-year-old boy who develops a friendship with a vampire child in Blackeberg, a suburb of Stockholm, in the early 1980s. The film received critical acclaim and won several awards, including the Founders Award for Best Narrative Feature at the 2008 Tribeca Film Festival. The film currently has a 98% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, with the general consensus reading, "Let the Right One In reinvigorates the seemingly tired vampire genre by effectively mixing scares with intelligent storytelling." In Sweden, the movie also received positive reviews, with Svenska Dagbladet giving the film a rating of 5 out of 6 and hailing Alfredson for his ability to, I quote, "tell stories through pictures instead of words about a society where hearts are turned to icicles and everyone is left on their own, but also about love, warm and red like blood on white melting snow." The movie went on to win a slew of awards, including Best Horror Feature, Best Foreign Language Film, and Best Film Not in the English Language. Despite all of this, the movie did have its faults, but it is excusable. The sequence we're discussing is the moment a bunch of freaked out cats attack their owner who has been bitten by a vampire. The cats are so poorly designed that they look like puppets instead of real animals. They would have been better just grabbing a stuffed animal than the mess that appeared in that scene, honestly. However, like I said, the moment is excusable because the film as a whole is absolutely incredible. And finally, coming in at number 1, Exorcist The Beginning, The Ravenous Hyenas. Exorcist The Beginning is a 2005 supernatural horror film directed by Renny Harlin. The film serves as a prequel to The Exorcist and is the 4th installment in the Exorcist series. The film follows Father Merrin, who was haunted by his experiences in World War II, when occupying Nazi troops forced him to be complicit in their atrocities. In the aftermath, he renounced his faith and began working as an archaeologist. He travels to Kenya, where a 5th century Byzantine church holds ancient relics. There he encounters Sarah, a doctor and concentration camp survivor. The strange occurrences that soon begin to reunite him with the evil he sought to escape. Upon its release, overwhelmingly negative reviews poured in, and it was a financial bomb. It was so bad that author and screenwriter of the original Exorcist, William Peter Blatty, said that watching The Exorcist The Beginning was his most humiliating professional experience. Critical responses to The Exorcist Beginning were mostly negative, with the film earning the low rating of 11% on Rotten Tomatoes. The same year of its release, it was also nominated for 2 Golden Raspberry Awards, Worst Director and Worst Remake or Sequel, but lost to 2 other Warner Bros. Films, Catwoman and Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed. But let's discuss the special effects. In arguably one of the movie's most painful moments, a pack of bloodthirsty hyenas strategically corner a young kid and then rip him apart. However, the CGI is atrocious and make the crazed animals look more like rabid dogs with cartoon heads. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any terrible special effects that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 scary horror movies that ended careers. Stu Crew said, "A little harsh, don't you think? Maybe Carrie Ann Moss had bills to pay." Maybe she did have bills to pay. Nothing against working, just judging the content, that's it. Not judging her. Nightwolf said, "I like when you pronounce certain words." I like when I pronounce words too, as opposed to not pronouncing them. Number 2 said, "You're a god among insects, never let anybody tell you differently." Don't worry, I would never let anyone tell me differently. They'd get And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later.